Alright, let me make a follow-up on one of my most contentiously commented videos, and that's on the Melvin Harris III, and why I said he is not a hero, because a lot of people have been saying, he's a hero, what are you talking about? Alright, I hear you. I would call him a hero had he busted in, and while Melvin Harris was at the stall of his daughter, had he hauled off and decked him perhaps a few times and got his daughter out of the bathroom and called 911. He's removing the threat from his daughter and getting his daughter and himself out of the situation as a responsible father. Had he continued to beat Melvin Harris in that situation and his daughter had gotten out and he continued to beat him, he still would not be a hero, because that's not what a hero does. The hero removes the threat, gets their family out of the situation, and then calls the authorities. Now, had he called the authorities and followed through with it and made sure that the judge understood that this person was a threat, went to the court dates, followed the proper channels, that would be a hero. He's showing his children how to do it correctly. Violence is not the answer for that. There are times, I understand, when violence is needed for defense purposes or defense of freedom, yourself or others' lives. And freedoms, I understand. But for him to turn around and return and effectively end this man's life, his life, and his children's lives are drastically changed as well. He has robbed his children of a future with a father because he acted out of anger. At that point, he was not protecting his children. He was returning to the scene to get vengeance, to dole out justice according to his will. And we can't call him a hero, because by calling him a hero, you're telling other people that this is the way to act. This is not the way to act. We are not some third world country that vigilantism is alive and well. That's not the way we are supposed to be. It is rule of law, and if we don't have rule of law, then what do we have? We have unrule of law. I don't like it as much as anybody else. I mean, I don't believe the system is perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect system, but the system is what we have, and we have to work within the system. I understand small protests and things like that working against the system, civil disobedience and whatnot. I got you. I'm all for that. But when it comes to taking a man's life, you have crossed the line. You have entered the realm of criminality, which is why he was sentenced. To call him a hero and encourage other men to go to jail over hate. And I understand. I got you. The hate's there. The hate is there. I got you. It takes quite a bit of self-control to not want to do what this father did. I understand that. But we cannot call him a hero and thereby encourage other people to take these acts. This is one of the reasons that jails are propagated by males. Because other males are calling him a hero, and other males are saying, well, if I want to be a hero, this is how a man acts. No, that is not how a man acts. A man acts to change the world for the better from within. And yes, life is hard. Life is strange. Life sucks sometimes. But that's what being a man is taking what life throws at you and dealing with it as best you can, and showing that you don't let your anger get the best of you. The situation was over. Your daughter was safe. You were safe. The next logical step is to call the police and say this incident happened. And if they don't respond, call them again. And then call them again. And if they don't respond, call someone else. Call a news channel. Call someone. Something to bring attention to the light if nobody else will listen. But to go and take your anger out on him and thereby taking another human's life, who are you to decide who lives and who dies? I understand he did a horrible thing, but that is not what a hero does. That's what an ordinary man who let anger get the best of him, not realizing at that moment that that the consequences right then were dire for him and his family. His family is now robbed of a father. Is that what a hero does? To call him a hero, you're overstepping your bounds, man. And I don't block any of the comments, and I do read them. So I read these comments, and I feel your anger. I do. But we cannot condone this sort of action. You're going to condemn young men to prison for acting out on their hate and their anger, and young men are suffering enough in society as it is today, dropping out of college like flies, workplace dropping out of it. They don't need any help like that. Let's call it what it is. Melvin Harris is simply a man who let his anger get the best of him. And it had dire consequences for everyone involved. Everyone involved. They will remember this and be scarred for it forever. And how much better would the situation have been? And how much could we have called him a hero if he'd have backed off and said, let me call the police and let me ensure that something happens. And then on the local news, they can say, hero dad makes sure that streets are safer by putting this mentally ill person into a mental institution or whatever. That would be the best course of action. Do I say right now that that's exactly what would have happened? No. Maybe the cops would have arrested him, maybe they wouldn't have, but at least he's taking the proper steps. And if it's known and the person's known out on the streets, eventually somebody's going to say, some lawyer's going to step up and say, something's going to happen, because in general, society is good. When they see a wrong that's happening in our beautiful country, society, we gather together and we make the wrongs right. Winston Churchill had a great quote about Americans. Americans, this is Winston Churchill, Americans will always do the right thing, even if it is at the very last moment. But those are my thoughts. I read the comments and I was like, wow, there's some pretty contentious stuff going on here. But we cannot call him a hero, because we do a disservice to society if we do. From a philosophical standpoint. We can get into our morals absolute some other time. I love philosophy. I'll debate philosophy with anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. I love it. I love philosophy. But are morals absolute? Well, in this case, yes. And moral absolutum, believe it or not, in my opinion, is subjective and objective as well. But that's a different conversation. But in this instant, we fail society if we take the stance of calling him a hero. Because we are propagating and condoning that sort of action when we shouldn't. The action we should be propagating is banding together as a society and using the institution that our society has put in place to handle this situation. That's the best course of action. That's what a hero does. And then he could have been spending Christmas with his family, New Year's with his family, and that would have been a beautiful outcome. But we have it, here it is, and it is what it is. And here's where you put in your thoughts and lambast me as you will. And no, those comments, hang out in a woman's bathroom, why? Okay, yeah. Alright. Some of the comments don't make sense, but I understand your frustration. I feel you and I hear you. And I hear your opinions. Slap it back at me. Come at me. Alright. I'll see you guys in the next one.